it's on right now?
Okay, thanks. He's looking to work with other cities, and he's to yeah, I sent it.
Tom, your articles that you sent, they went to Janet.
Oh, it would go to Janet?
They went to Janet, and they wouldn't open for us. So,
Sunday
so
paper.
we'll have to,
Sunday paper. Yeah, you can. And I was thinking I'd bring it to you. See, you read the article, if you'd like to.
no, I believe I haven't seen our.
Oh, you haven't seen it? Okay.
Reading the article.
Yeah, that doesn't matter to me, but the thing is, just to have, if you'd like it, maybe we could set up a lunch or coffee.
Well, have you had an opportunity to read
Yes.
this public art mural program?
I think I have, let me take a look. Is it all of the things that you've got to do for it?
Uh-huh.
Yep. That's one of those.
Okay. Cause
It could take 2 hours to get completed.
to say the least. It is on the agenda for today, and we need to try to address some of the highlights, I guess.
That's,
But what you're referring to, I'm just calling it a national program, but it's the National Artist Prize. So say and they come to the commission and say, who do you recommend?
yeah, there's lots of them out there. That's why
But-
this guy
but-
would be a good mentor. Not
Yeah.
mentor,
Yeah. So, I mean, we're probably going to have to generate something. Okay, it's 3 o'clock. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Have you all had an opportunity to review the minutes from July 8th? And unless there's any questions or updates on it, do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
Move to approve the minutes?
Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Okay, very good. We'll move on to the,
Do you mind taking a vote?
oh,
Thank you.
vote. We all vote. We have to punch this for
You can just
vote?
do it. You can just do a voice voted.
Just
Yes.
say hi, you know, yes.
Yeah, I'll take the notes. Sorry. Sorry.
I mean, it's just us, you know?
This one though in the future?
In the future, if you'd like, sure. I can take the notes. But I don't want to interrupt your meeting. It's not a problem. Keep going.
We better practice.
Yeah.
You want to practice the buttons?
So as a test of that, if you'd like, just to get familiar with the system, the first commissioner, if you don't mind, it says make motion. If you hit make motion on that button, then it'll pop up on that screen. And then if you don't mind, I apologize, Commissioner Oswald, do you mind pressing the second? It says right below where it says request to speak.
The white one.
Right below that, it says second motion. See, and if you
Then yes
one more time.
or no, right?
One more time?
Try it. For some reason, it didn't pick it up.
It
over
was, I
Velasco.
just did it too fast.
And then what would happen is I would then click start vote, and then on your screen you would then hit yes, no, or abstain. So you could just hit yes, and then it'll automatically take it.
You have to keep it down, huh? Let's see. No, mine is not going in.
Oh, that's interesting.
I pressed
It's on.
Oh, they're in the incorrect seats. Is that right?
We're in the wrong chairs.
Oh, okay. Then that would make sense
Because
why
I-
this. Okay, no problem. Then I think for this meeting we won't need to do it. You can just do a voice vote, and I'll just make sure everything is fine that way. But thank you though. So No problem.
No tests this time.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Next meeting, we're going to sit in the right seats and we're going to get the hang of this. 'Cause one of these days, we're going to have a big crowd out there. Okay, so we voted and go on to old business, which is the mural program. And I believe, Danielle, do you just want to
Sure.
introduce?
So I attached the draft of the mural program that the city manager's office has been working on, and I'm hoping that you all had a chance to review that before today's meeting. If you have feedback that you'd like to provide, I'd be happy to take that now. If it would be easier, you can email me that information, however you want to take it, but I would like to have it within the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. I did read it. I have questions and comments. So on page 1, second paragraph, do we have an appearance committee that exists? At the end of the second paragraph, it says, must be vetted through both the Public Art Commission and the Appearance Committee. We have one. I didn't
Yes.
know we had one.
Yes, the city has an appearance committee. It's made up of representatives from each city department, so planning, public works, engineering, community services, and we review any projects that's going to happen out in the city just to make sure that it's in line with what the city's goals are and that they are aesthetically, happy with the project.
So those are all staff members.
Those are all staff members.
Then at the end of the third paragraph, it says, the last sentence, the grant will match dollar for dollar of the applicant's contribution up to a maximum of $5,000. That's very low. I think we are using this number because it's what it came with the draft that we got from somewhere. I don't know where that draft came from. But the mural that the EPA has right now outside of their gallery was $20,000. So that gives you an idea of how much. I don't think we're going to be able to do anything for less, close to that amount. So that, I think we need to discuss and perhaps move up.
Okay, I will make a
Increase.
note to discuss that with Jay from the city manager's office, and myself, and probably the mayor will make those final decisions. So I'll make a note to increase the matching amount. What are we suggesting is an appropriate?
Well, the whole thing is talking about asking the businesses to basically come up with 50% almost of the whole thing. My concern is, what is the incentive for anyone to participate on this mural program at all? I mean, so we need to think about how we're going to approach them and what are we going to offer them. But I would say 10,000 from our side, minimum. We have money.
I don't know where these numbers came from on this.
I think they were just taken from other mural programs that they were researching, and I'm sure it's flexible.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah,
I mean,
well, that's
we
what
want
I was.
quality projects in Escondido. So if we don't feel that this is a reasonable dollar amount for a quality project, because you're looking at, if it's a matching grant, if we're matching with 5, that's only $10,000. So
Yeah.
if that's not realistic, then we need to know that and we can make an adjustment.
And that's really what I would be curious to find out, how these numbers came about. I mean, that might work for a very small mural, unlike something, that is a surprisingly low amount as a maximum. So it would be interesting if that really is what the market is bearing on this. I kind of doubt it, especially if we got into something quite large. But it would be curious on where this information, I believe you said an intern or something of that nature was working on this, and how current his information, or he or she, how current their information was. So it's one thing to review all the different kind of programs that exist, certainly in Southern California, but I think we need some more realistic numbers to make this a little more valid.
Okay, noted.
Yeah, and the word says maximum. I was just thinking, yeah, maximum, even 10,000 might not be enough. So I remember when talking to the people at Lompoc, said average 10,000, but most of them were more than that. So, well, average is average. Let me turn off this. So yeah.
And there could be a regional impact with that too. The popularity of, something downtown San Diego versus out in North County. So that could be another factor that, we need to compare apples to apples.
Okay.
In the eligibility and processing, the second, I'm sorry. It says properties must be a retail, commercial, office, blah, blah, blah. What about city properties?
I think that would be considered office, but I can confirm that.
So if it's, yeah, we should add it, if there's good walls out there that belong to the city. And in that case, would the city pay for the maintenance of that? Because in this document, it says that whoever owns the mural will maintain it. So if the city is willing to give us some walls that we like, then we would pay for it. Meaning the committee would allot money for maintenance. I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, that would be probably, I would guess that could be a little tricky because the applicant, the business that wants to do it, puts up, it's a dollar for dollar. So how do you do a dollar for dollar back against the city if the city's the property owner? So I'm just a little...
In that case, I think it would probably be dollar for dollar with the artist, but that's, again, maybe the level of detail that we need to get into in the policy.
But she's absolutely right that city of some sort should go on there because the city buildings does that. Also incorporate the Center for the Arts, the museum, the outside of the library, I don't know.
Right, and there's beautiful...
Hospitals.
By the way, so this is a guideline. It doesn't mean that this is the only way we can go about it. That's the way I'm reading it. We have money. We could choose as a commission to say, this particular project, we can fund it 100%. So I don't think this is the Bible. It has to be this way and no way. That's the way I'm seeing it. Because it's a start, right, but it doesn't exclude. What about if we don't get people lining up to do it because they have to put money up front?
Well, it's kind of grown from, I think, some of the original concepts of a mural. I mean, I'm going back quite a few years we've been discussing murals, part of public art projects, versus this type of project where we're reaching out to the community and making it available more to the community rather than a project under total control of the Public Art Commission. So if you keep those two projects separate, we may be able to do both.
Yeah, I don't see why not, but...
Because the community, I'm just referencing downtown, but primarily downtown. If people wanted to do a facade enhancement, I don't even know if that program's still around through the city, or something along those lines, then the Public Art Fund, dollar for dollar, could assist that business owner.
Right.
However, if we get a huge project and somebody wants to paint the whole hospital,
Mural.
okay, then that can be considered our project 100%, and it can be covered. But I was trying to initially, with a mural program, bring in the local community who could never afford to do that. Plus, it would ease the process, hopefully, with getting permission, the coding, for code enforcement and a variety of different enhancements on the historical downtown and so on and so forth. So it's kind of two different levels in my personal feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you guys are very involved with the downtown, right, Patricia, and you? Do you think we'll have people interested in something like this, where they have to come up with, half of it, and then we have to, we have so many businesses that are empty. I don't know, are we booming to the point that they are willing to invest? Because I would hate for us to wait and wait. What do you think? We have any?
Well, we're probably not going to know until we
approach it.
introduce it, because this is a whole new thing. This has never been done, certainly in my 20 years here, that we've provided any kind of a matching grant to improve the downtown region. That kind of partnership, until we go out and literally solicit door to door, do some advertising along that line, go to the Downtown Business Association, go to the Chamber of Commerce, go to any and all of those kind of organizations, go to the Children's Museum, and tell them, okay, we've created this program. Do you want to participate? And see what they come up with. Maybe that's where the figure of a maximum of $10,000 is more realistic versus an actual program developed to paint something huge.
And just to go back to your point that this is a guideline and
Yes.
it's a draft, I think it's a new program. We put it out there. Nothing is set in stone. We can make amendments to it. We can adjust it as we go to make it a successful program. I know that it's important to our management and our council. They are very much in supportive of the public art and murals in particular. So I think we just need to give it a go and see how the public and the artists react to this policy and program, and like I said, make changes as we go to make it work.
Yeah.
I don't.
One of the things that we might start to think of is at the very beginning, that's where we are now. So if I was doing something, a project that large, I'd start looking at the people in the city that are participants in this, the businesses, as you said, you mentioned
Right.
a whole number. If we could get with them, have maybe small lunches or one-on-one or coffees with an individual, or get a group of people, ask for a meeting with the, as you mentioned,
The Chamber of Commerce.
Chamber of Commerce, the,
Downtown Business Association, the galleries.
what's the one, my mind's blank right now, which is coming more often, I guess.
Senior moment.
Rotary.
Oh,
They're
Rotary.
always good for them. And then you get an idea, ask what they would want. This is what we're thinking, but we need your help.
Exactly. Because we need,
And, start with that. You don't have to start there, but that's one place to start, to get a feeling for it, get a feeling for cost, get a feeling to where the money's coming from. Would they want a person on their company to sit in on some of our meetings, to offer? If we're going to do the first two murals, that, for example, they want something in that. They want to have a say-so in what it is like. So that's start that way, the small way, and talk to the business people in the city.
And I think once we have this policy more solidified, if we have more of a final document, that's when we'll involve those folks.
I'd like to see like a timeline so we can have a product maybe for 2020 instead of continuing talking about it. The other thing is, think about that the business that is going to be our partner will have to commit to maintain it. So they are getting, more commitment than we do. And we have money.
Run that by me again about who's committing to the maintaining.
The business that agrees to have a mural in their property are going to have to agree to maintain it.
Yes.
So they're committing.
part of this.
Exactly. We are not, unless it's a city mural, and then that would be a different.
Yeah,
That would be a different thing. So, yeah, so maybe we can start with some sort of dates. Okay, by a certain date, we're going to have these done, and so we can move swiftly.
Well, in the body in here, I think it does briefly address the
Timeline?
timelines. Yeah, so this doesn't drag on forever. Somebody comes up, says, yeah, I want to do this, they start it, and then they never finish. So, but not to say that that shouldn't be refined in order to get some momentum, even, especially on the smaller projects. I can't see that that would be a big delay if somebody, whether they prep the wall and they get it going, they make an artist selection, they probably already have something in mind, and they're going to be conservative because we're not giving them the money up front.
Right.
Okay, so they've got to do some planning and commitment there. So I would like to think that would be kind of a safeguard. It wouldn't benefit them in any way to drag their feet. Though I know, yeah, people are people.
Well, yeah, and there will be stipulations put on the artist, we'll make sure. But I think, were you talking more about the timeline for implementing this
Exactly.
policy?
Yeah, because that,
It will have to go to the city council, and I know that I've seen a draft staff report. So it really depends on how quickly we can turn around our comments, and I can meet with the city manager's office, and but I think we're pretty far along here, depending on how many changes we have to make. I don't see it being more than a couple more months, but.
so maybe we can say that you would need feedback from us give us ourselves 3 weeks, 2 weeks?
She's gathering the feedback right now.
We are, but we're missing one person, right?
Yes, we are.
So we can say maybe no more than 2 weeks, and
2 or
then
3 weeks is fine, whichever, if we can set a date that works, let's see.
we have the document here, but.
Yeah.
By the end of October? By Halloween, how about that?
Yeah, how about November 1st?
Dia de los Muertos, sure.
Okay, so for everybody's additional input, do we?
If you'd like to discuss
Can we
it
just
further,
keep going?
we certainly can, or if you just want to email me with all of your questions and all of your comments,
Oh, yeah.
that might be more efficient.
Yeah. By the way, at the end, and I'm sorry, on page 3, talks about the program liaison. Is that you, or do we choose someone?
I believe that's me.
That's what I thought. Okay. They also talk about a mural artist roster. I don't know where that roster is. What are they talking about?
I don't think there is one now,
Yeah.
but we would develop one with artists that were interested in doing murals. I actually do have one artist that reached out a while ago. I don't recall what it was for, but I did hold on to her name because she was a mural artist. But we would develop that as we reached out and as artists came forward to propose projects.
I've also talked to about 20 in the area of San Diego and up, and they gave me prices and cost per foot, et cetera, et cetera.
For murals?
And that's sort of, I put just in the background, wanted to get some ideas. So that could be something, again, we could go to. And another thing, should we have somebody make a get-together, probably our leader, with the mayor, just to say, this is what we're thinking, we just want to make sure, this is where we're at, this is what we'll be looking in the future, maybe, to give him a head start.
Well, there isn't any reason that we couldn't just do that on our own, right?
Yeah, you can do that on your own, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, they're aware that you all are reviewing this policy and your input is going to be included in here. So I think any things that you want to get across, this is the way to do it, is through this policy.
Through this proposal. One thing when we were talking about who may or may not, consider as far as the program, how are we looking at the nonprofits? A nonprofit organization that wants to do something, would we still require a matching program? Are we going to have anything more than that we would just...
Outside of murals, are you saying?
No, murals, staying with the murals,
Girl Scouts may want their own mural.
If they came to us and said, we're a nonprofit, we really don't have the money,
We
but
don't have the matching.
We can do it.
Yeah, and if they're a nonprofit, how does the city look at that? Is that even considered? There's a lot of nonprofits that could qualify, and then we'd be forking out all the money, and we
Yeah.
spend our pool in a hurry, but I know it's going to come up. So,
In case of a nonprofit, then maybe we can approach it, we just approach it differently. Just simply saying we can fund it up to a certain amount, and they don't have to come up with anything up front. I know we talked about murals in the creek restoration project. We're gonna, they're thinking about doing in the cement part of it, doing some murals. So when that comes up, we cannot treat them the same way as if it's a business, right? So then that should be added to this guideline by saying nonprofit organizations would be, then this would be the, yeah.
the CREEK program does have a budget.
Funding.
Yeah,
I
it's
just saw
got
it.
funding, so
Yeah, 63, yeah.
Yeah, and I, frankly, I don't want to give any other projects that is already on more when we're trying to do something on a more of a community level.
I get it, yeah. And also, if you look at the next page, page 6, it's the same amount. So I think this came from the original document, really. It was just like a draft. The same amount of dollar for the neighborhood, for the, what do they call it? The
mural in a
the
weekend.
weekend, right. So it's the same amount, which is silly, right? And we were talking about totally different levels of yeah. So those numbers really need to be, changed, right?
So these are all great ideas and comments, so if you could just put them down in an email to me, just to make sure that we cover everything. I mean, I've written down all the notes that you've discussed today, but if you could get them in an email to me, that would be really helpful. Make sure I don't miss anything.
Make sure the paper works or my email's open.
And if I may add, as we're reviewing all this, to send in the emails if the rest of the commission hasn't. I'd be curious on your interpretation of this mural in a weekend proposal.
That took place in the Lompoc thing. They did it. They've done it. It's hectic. I mean,
Well, for me, there's a difference between a program and a project. And if it's a kid's project,
no, that's adults. The weekend thing is adults.
well, even if it's amateur adults, it's still a project versus a program. I just would love other people's input on their take on what this might entail. So if that would be the only thing that I would like to request a little extra besides. There's a lot in here, and I'm excited that we're actually moving, and I totally agree with Anna that we need to, for the most part, I feel like we've wasted a year or more doing nothing. If we're going to keep a commission, then I really strongly believe we need to do something positive and support the community as it's been designed. It's been very frustrating, and we can only do what we can do if we're allowed to do it, and that's just my personal opinion on that as chair. So we're going to continue our feedback via email to you?
Yes, please.
Okay.
And have everything to me by November 1st, and then we will set a meeting for us and maybe the intern that's actually writing the document.
Okay. Well, that sounds wonderful, and I appreciate all the work that, Danielle, that you've done, and this intern, whoever they are, definitely got all the particulars, touched on most everything I can think of, whether, well, how we're going to refine it, we'll be curious, but thank goodness. I just feel so much better than to feel like we were just going to be dissolved. And I understand that this mural program will generate more interest and that sort of thing, but I'd just like to also emphasize the importance that the commission, and primarily the city staff part of the Public Art Commission, the responsibility of maintaining the maintenance of our existing collection, our art collection that is out there, and that is a commitment that is a long-term, whether we have a group here or not. And I don't want ever to see that in jeopardy, that we are not, that we will always provide support and restoration to our collection of artwork. We've got to maintain respectability in that, or we just will not attract any quality artists to our community, period. I mean, to me, that's just a no-brainer. And we have a lot of art to offer, and so I don't know how the future is going to be with the decisions and that sort of thing, but I feel very strongly about them taking it more seriously, that we do have an important part in our community, and we need to maintain it and grow. We have been spinning our wheels for way too many years, and nothing of any quality has come from it. So I will be very adamant about that feeling.
Well, somewhat tied in with that also, what do you think about the size of the committee itself? Do we need more members? And is this the time to discuss that?
Well, let's take a look at, we've got to stay on the agenda here. You guys, I don't do this real well, so help me here.
I would just like to comment, Marty, well said. I concur with everything you said.
Moving right along, can we do that now? Okay, in the new business, I see the first item on the new business, increasing the frequency of meetings. For sure, if we're going to have more workload, which is sounding very promising, we've got to be allowed to do our work. We're volunteering to make a difference, a positive difference, and yet we're not being allowed to meet and conduct our business. And it's beyond me. I understand. I've watched the progression and the negative, and it's gotten smaller and smaller and less important and so on and so forth. And I don't want that flame to go out. We need to have significant community leaders, business leaders take an interest in, it's not just painting a pretty picture. It is developing a community of culture.
Yeah, so I suggested bi-monthly, but I think it would be pertinent at this moment to talk about something of us as a commission forming committees that would look at things. I don't think we all have for example, I wanted to talk, we are by definition of a commission, we cannot meet informally, only with one more person. And even then, some of us feel uncomfortable about that. So there's no open, it's not a very dynamic way of doing things, basically. That's what I'm saying. So the commission, one thing we could do is meet bi-monthly. So then we know we have a deadline, right? Every other month we need to meet. And then, as a commission, we could name and form committees that could meet as often as they want to address certain things, where there's dialogue and the ideas, and then all of that comes in front of the commission to be approved. You see what I'm saying?
I was trying to read and listen at the same time. That
Did
never
you-
works for me.
Did it make sense or no?
It definitely makes sense. And what we have had in the past, and I'm not really sure if that's in our one sheet of description of the Public Art Commission any longer, but it was like just a small committee, ad hoc
committee,
you know, and it was 2 people and a staff, okay, to go over these things, so that people are kind of specializing and we're handling more than one subject matter at a time, and then those reports would be shared at the following meeting.
Exactly.
But as time has gone on and we weren't even meeting except, as seldom as we were the quarterly issue is silly. I think legally that's perfectly fine
It
for our
is.
commission to do that.
Yes.
Is that correct?
We can form ad hoc committees
Well,
and subcommittees. Yeah.
we got an expert down
Yeah,
here.
you have the authority to form an ad hoc committee. You can also meet more frequently. Another thing that might be pertinent to your discussion is that the city's created community advisory groups, and I know they have one that's on arts and culture meeting tomorrow, I believe at 6 p.m. in the Mitchell Room. So that's another group that's starting that's going to be discussing items that are relevant to yourself, but they're not bound by the same regulations of the Brown Act as you are. So there's a distinction.
What's the name of it? The committee?
The Arts and Culture Group.
I
if I'm
didn't
not
know
mistaken,
it
Danielle?
I believe, Arts and Culture Advisory Group.
Yeah, and that was the mayor's initiative.
Oh, is that tomorrow at 6?
Tomorrow, yeah. I believe they're going to meet on a monthly basis. This is the mayor's initiative, and Bill Wolf, the deputy city manager, as well as Joanne Axelrod, community services director. She's been working on these groups for quite some time. So this is not this doesn't have the same formality as your commission, but it's also a group that's going to be working kind of on the same topics. So it might be helpful for you to be aware of. Just
Is it here?
in the Mitchell Room, which is right just west of City Hall, in between here and the
Definitely
Arts Center.
interesting.
Okay.
We didn't
Well,
know about that.
That's very exciting to see how, for me personally, that would be an excellent source also to meet people that may want to go the next step and apply to be a commissioner. Because I think we need to add at least 2 more on this commission.
Yeah, I think we're too small.
And I'm not sure even if how his health is going, and somebody have to reach out to him and find out. So if we had to replace him as well, I think we should have at least 7 and actively recruit for that. So very likely the advisor group might be even a source for people that are like-minded.
So that would be adding members to the commission will have to go before our city council, correct,
Yes.
Zach?
Correct.
Yeah, so we can, how would I propose that to you?
Yeah, you could go through myself, and then basically I could bring it to the mayor and the council. The next round of board and commission appointments is going to take place March of 2020. So that would be the time frame to institute the cycle of 2 more council members, our commissioners, because you need to have an odd number. But yeah, you right now, though, have the authority to schedule more meetings more frequently, as well as to form an ad hoc committee. The addition of commissioners, that would be something that would require council approval.
Yeah, so this meeting tomorrow will be very important for us, because I'm wondering if it's a parallel organization dealing with the same issues that we are, so it'll be very interesting
think-
to see where they're going with that.
It's brand new, so at tomorrow's meeting, the first meeting, there's 5 different advisory groups, and at the first meeting, it's going to be our deputy city manager, Bill Wolf, and he's just really going to be explaining the background on it. and how they came to be, that it's a mayor's initiative. And the arts and culture one, I just want you to know it's not necessarily just about public art, it's about all types of art. So if someone wants to have a music festival in the park,
Performances.
or if someone wants to have, an art show downtown, something like that. But, so there's a lot of different, it's different than what you guys do, but there will be a lot of overlap.
People are on the advisory group that's,
We don't know yet.
okay.
Tomorrow is
They
the
just-
first meeting. It was put out, it's on the city's website, it's gone out through social media. I think they said there was about 50 people that showed an interest in the commission, but we'll see how many, show up for the meeting. And then it will be, they're not going to be, the idea is that they're not going to be city-run. They will be run by the people. There will be a city liaison. In your case, I believe it's, in the arts one, I believe it's Jay Petrick and Catherine Zimmer. I'm not involved in that one. I'm in the youth recreation area. And so you will have a staff liaison, but it will be a community-run group.
Interesting.
And you'll be setting your own meetings. Likely they will be monthly, but it really is going to be up to the group to decide how they want those to run.
What time does this meeting start?
6
6 o'clock, I believe.
Mitchell Room tomorrow. Oh, shoot, tomorrow. I'm sorry.
Well, I plan on attending, and if I survive, that,
I have a commitment. I would love to go, but
well, it's just the first one. I'll brief you on what was said and then join the second one. But I think some representation from the commission, I would think, would be a good thing unless we get, picked on. But I don't want to be picked on. When I'm picked on, then I go home.
Can you clarify for everybody that as commission, we are allowed to meet in groups of 2, right? No more
Yes.
than 2. But
Yes.
we
No more than
cannot
2.
talk about the same topic with a third person.
Correct.
But it's absolutely okay to talk to people. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to talk, right? And I believe this is not only verbal, but it's also emails and phone, anything, right? Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. So what about the bi-monthly? Can we?
I think you guys will want to vote on that.
Yeah, if you
We need a
like-
motion?
You need a
Yeah, I
motion and a
would
vote if
strongly
that's what you'd
recommend
like to do, or if there's more discussion.
The only thing I was going to suggest is that this is October and not end, so that would be December, but these are the holidays, so what do you think? I mean, we have Thanksgiving, we have the holidays in December. Should we start in January with the bi-monthly, or do we just start now? What do you think? Meaning, December will be the next meeting.
Well, personally, I go now.
Exactly. That's my,
So we meet in December.
Yeah. Unless it's
Well,
impossible, as things closing down or something.
can-
What would
you
that
can
be?
vote.
December what?
December, the second Monday, is same as the
It's
one,
it's December 9th.
December 9th. So it's at the beginning of December. I'm okay with it.
What about staff?
Yeah,
Your calendar?
that's fine for me. You can vote for it, implement the every other month meeting schedule. If it comes up with, this often happens with other commissions, especially over the summertime when people are vacationing. If you're not going to make it, we would just cancel that meeting, but you can implement the schedule now.
See,
Good.
that's one of the problems, because he's absent already. How many more can we have absent? One more?
Yeah, you
No,
need 3.
For quorum? So, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, well, tentatively, right?
Well, let's,
So let's have
you want to make a motion?
Yeah, so I would like to make a motion that starting now, today, the PAC Commission is going to be meeting bi-monthly from now on. And I think somebody has to second that.
Yes. Do I have a second?
second.
Okay, and a vote?
Oh, let's try.
Aye.
We can
No.
try.
It's okay, I got it.
Aye.
Aye, aye.
Perfect.
Okay, so
I'm going to push a button.
now we know that we're going to be here December 9th at 3 o'clock to proceed with our next meeting. And so we have vote on that. We don't have to run that by city.
No.
Okay.
No.
Thank you. Okay, meeting with the Nikki Charitable Foundation?
So I put that, I put that on the agenda. We will be meeting with them. We don't have a date firm yet. We're either meeting on October 25th or the 28th to discuss the repairs that are necessary to Queen Califia. So I just wanted to let you know that that was happening. I know that in the past, we've had questions about potentially fundraising. Can we put a box out there to collect funds? Can we sell swag, T-shirts, buttons, magnets, things like that? So this is just a call to you. I'm asking for you to send me your ideas and your questions for them. Like I said, we're meeting the 25th or the 28th, so that's next week. So if you could get them to me by the end of this week, I'd be happy to share your questions with the foundation and report back at our next meeting.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We can sell the book too.
I got a lot of ideas now that I've been over to the Tarot Gardens. And I'm going to beat that to death, probably. Because really, what's good for one, why can't it be good for both?
And I think if you put that in there, that would be great for you to mention that you were there and what they do there and how come, so that.
Yeah. Because our Queen Califia is falling apart, and we can't continue like that. We have winter's coming, water's going to get in, and
Right.
we're going to lose more pieces.
I just want you to know that this binder, I have been diligent. These are all my personal pictures of my tour of the Tarot Garden in Tuscany, and it was a guided tour. They set it up, one of the board members set it up, and I had an English-speaking, thank heaven, wonderful guide, and he was with us for over 3 hours, and I got a lot of neat behind-the-scenes stuff and little tidbits, and so many of their issues and our issues are identical.
Yeah, surprise.
They're
surprise.
just ahead of us by about 5 years as far as the condition issues, because they're 20 years, this is their 20th. And, wear and tear and dealing with that sort of thing, but they're an excellent example of money going towards something and the benefit of the visitors and selling tickets, providing a retail side of it with the T-shirts and numerous goodie bags and things like that. And what a great model to follow, honestly. And the place was absolutely pristine. For the amount of people that go through there, I was stunned with how clean. I mean, when I got back here, I looked at the Queen, and I said, she needs a bath so bad.
Yes.
And all of that. But grant you, they close for 3 months a year, and, and it's much, much bigger than ours, but it sounds like their problems are too, but yet very similar. Very, very similar, because the style, the technique, the artists are all the same people. Mm-hmm. They just built it here.
Did you go inside there where she stayed for
Everything.
years and worked in there?
Everything.
That's amazing.
Her house, her kitchen, her bathroom, her bedroom, but everything was over the top. So I'd be thrilled if you want to look through my pictures anytime. I have already had requests from 3 different docents to want to review my storyline on what took place in our wonderful, wonderful visit. It was just amazing. The pictures in the magazines and the books do not even do it justice, honestly.
Have you ever thought of taking some of those pictures, having them printed for people that visit, might want to buy them?
Oh, well, anytime you put anything in publication, they're going to come and get you big time. There's too many copyright laws. I can't even get these T-shirts here, okay? And so Tom and I, we got 3, And their idea of a large and my idea of a large is very, of course, maybe I'm large, but there's just a lot of things like that that we could benefit. Definitely benefit, little by little, even just the small things that I'm talking about. We definitely need to address these big tours that I've been giving more and more of, and they're getting bigger and bigger, and they're for free, and we got to fix that.
Yes, I agree.
We've got to fix that
I agree.
immediately. I mean, we'll talk about tickets or whatever at the door. That's one issue. But for a long time, we've been led to believe that the foundation, that Nikki herself was opposed to commercializing her gardens and her work and that sort of thing. And I appreciate that, I respect that, but that was then, and this is 20 years later. And
We had a Zumba class on a Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
Why was it free? I mean, excuse me?
I have had attorney groups, school groups, college groups, tons of variety of stuff, and I know the organizers of these groups are charging these people, and then they come to our venue and it's free. Anyway.
Well, we need to give you feedback on this for the foundation, but one of the issues we've had with collecting money for Nikki was that there's no legal entity for the money to go to, right? I mean, I talked to you about that, and you said maybe we need to start a Friends of Nikki something foundation, so money can go to there. If we have let's say a yearly big fundraiser, that the money doesn't come, it goes straight to the Nikki.
We need to establish an account, and we've talked with this for several years. First, it just started on a very tiny scale. Somebody would want to give you $20 when they come to the garden in appreciation, and you would approach the city and nobody knew what to do with the $20. Okay? So that is just an example of what should be much greater. It should be more organized and have a separate account. Legally, I don't know how the city can be involved or supervise, or I don't even know the right words to make something like that legal. I would love to be able, for lack of a better title, Friends of the Queen organization, so that we can at least get an account, so when these situations come up, because when people call, they call directly to the city to make these reservations for the large groups, and that's the perfect timing to say, well, under the terms of the nonprofit Friends of the Queen, we have these new guidelines. But we can't implement any of that unless it's legal and have an account. We have nothing.
Danielle, what did you say? What kind of account we need to have? You mentioned it to me when we talk. You said A blah blah C.
A nonprofit. You need a nonprofit status.
Yep.
So yeah, I think what you need to do, and I don't know the details of how it works, but if you would reach out to the library, there's a Friends of the Library that's very organized, and they would be able to tell you how it would be separate, completely separate from this commission. It would be an entity in its own, but it would be a nonprofit group. You would have your own accounts, or they would have their own accounts, and then you could accept donations through that nonprofit, Friends of Nikki or whatever. But I'm sorry, I don't know how the Friends groups work exactly, but again, if you reached out to, say, the library, the Friends of the Library, I know that's a very organized group. They might be able to help you and get started.
Okay.
That would solve that part of the problem.
It would.
Having funds just for Nikki that nobody can touch.
Yeah, it wouldn't be connected to the city.
Right. Right.
No, and we knew that, and early on, we were talking about trying to do something with the foundation. And I guess some people even said, oh, well, you can make a check out to the Nikki Foundation in Santee. Well, we never saw the benefit of that. So that was kind of, but that was about the only thing to where people were directed out there. And I thought, in my fantasy world, I thought possibly this was something that we could reach out to them and say, this is something that we're looking at and you are a nonprofit. Would you be willing to be part of this to help support the Queen? I don't have a feel for the current foundation management at all. So it's going to be very critical for you to get a feel for that and see if they would be willing to assist us in, because the ultimate goal is the same, and which may eliminate having to make another organization, Friends of Nikki, if we could use their existing nonprofit and just do a spinoff in some manner. I don't know.
Do we have any idea, do we have a figure for the repairs by this point?
We do. It's a very comprehensive quote. By that, I mean he's quoting things that he says need repair that I don't agree need repair at this point.
Yeah.
So the total figure was $480,000.
That includes the floors
Yes.
and all the snakes, everything,
Everything.
basically.
And we don't have $480,000.
No, but we can have a wonderful fundraiser maybe one day.
Well, the way that I am planning on approaching this is on a phased, a phased project approach, because like I said, there's some areas that he's saying that need repair, and I don't think they're at that point yet. The tiles haven't come off yet, or the critical areas to me are those areas where we're missing large sections of tile that along the snake, closer to the back, and the floor as well.
Yeah, and probably one of the questions to the foundation is, do we have to always go through that vendor or that provider? Because he has no competition,
That is one of our questions.
Exactly, right? I mean, if you know you're going to get it, you can charge $1 million. But anyway, doesn't the foundation supposed to come up with 50% of it?
I believe so. I have to read the fine print of the contract, but I do believe they have to contribute something.
So no wonder, yeah. Okay. So the 26th or the 28th, we need to have questions for the foundation, right? Or concerns?
The 25th
Or to you.
and the 28th is when I'm meeting them, so if you could get it to me, let's see.
By when?
Oh, actually, so the middle of next week. How about
Wednesday?
Wednesday, the 23rd?
Okay. Awesome.
Okay, so are we good with that now? We know that we've got to get back to her for all the information that she's going to need for the meeting, which will be very interesting to hear the outcome there. I think it's going to be a good thing. I think there's been enough time. Now, the staff liaison report. Did you want to go over that as well, Danielle?
I can go over it. So basically, it's pretty, if you guys have looked at it, it's pretty self-explanatory. The transition as far as with the California Center of the Arts, we don't have word on that yet. They're still in negotiations. So now I've been told that November timeline, we'll get an idea whether we are going to transfer over there or not. So I'll keep you, I should, by our next meeting in December, we should have a firm answer on that. Queen Califia, like I said, we got the quote for repairs, so we're just going to meet with the foundation, see if they're willing to help us out and pay for some of those repairs. But like I said, we'll be trying to, if not, well, even either way, we'll be taking a phased approach and fixing the most critical areas first before we move on to the areas that are starting to fail. Grape Day Park, the grapes and the vine henge out here, there was a little small section of mosaic tile that either someone popped off, or I don't know if it was vandalism or if it just over the years, again, and the weather, you know, a little section of tile popped off. So I reached out to the Nature Works group, and they came out and provided a quote. So they're going to be repairing the tile work. They're also going to be repairing the vine henge sections. It's an epoxy, basically, so they'll be repairing places that have chipped off and then painting it and sealing it. So that should be, the last time we had this done was 3 years ago. So we'll be doing that again, and they've suggested some methods that we can use to, you know, apply a clear coat of epoxy 2 times a year. That should increase the lifespan of this so that we won't be putting out money every 3 years to have this done. But the project is approximately $8,000, and we'll be paying for that out of the public art admin account.
It says 8,000.
8,000.
Oh, I heard. That's expensive, isn't it?
Well,
Every 3 years.
Would we would be applying this coating
yes,
twice a
the
year?
public works staff is what they're recommending, would be applying the clear coat to the vine henge sections to keep it sealed, basically, keep the water out.
Yeah, because I didn't realize it's been 3 years. It seemed like it was less than that, but I just, do these repair art people, you know, warranty any of their work or what? I mean,
Yeah.
it's just ongoing, constantly, and it can't, there's a lot of pieces that are out in the public use, and this thing is either badly abused or the quality of the repairs are just not holding up. So for $8,000, what are they going to give us with that?
Let's-
You know,
Uh-huh.
6 months?
Let's require, no, let's
You know, I mean, seriously, it seems like a lot to repair something that, you know, it's.
I have to look at the original contract. There is a warranty, there is a time frame, but I don't recall what that is. I want to say it was 1 year. I can always, the contract is not written yet. I mean, the contract is written. The contract is not, has not been signed by either party yet, so I could still add something to.
we get
it.
another bid?
Um,
Could we get another bid so we don't have to go with them? Do we-
No, they're the artists, so we have to, they're the
Oh.
original artists, so we have to go with that
I
artist.
see.
Danielle, is there a graffiti coat on that? Is that what that is?
I don't think there is. No, I think it's just a clear, like a polyurethane kind of sealant that's over top of the paint. The paint that she uses, the grapes, are actually like the product that you would put on your garage floor. It's a hard epoxy paint, which we're not getting the grapes painted, but that's the type of product that she uses on the structure. So, I mean, it's out there in the elements. It doesn't have a shade structure. The children are climbing all over it. And I didn't think, I mean, $8,000 is expensive, but when I heard $480,000 for Queen Califia, it seemed kind of reasonable to me.
But
There's
the-
also a anti-graffiti.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we were.
Have you seen it? Have you seen it?
Have I seen
Have
what?
you seen what the sections that they say need
Yes.
to be repaired? So
Yes.
They're
you
just
saw.
epoxy. Yes. Okay. As long as it's any.
So maybe some warranty, 5-year warranty or something? I mean, come on.
Yeah, I'll check on it. I think, like I said, I think it was 1 year, but we can certainly look at that and see if they can give us a little bit more time.
Right. Okay.
And then the last thing on the report was just the commission appointments, that we do have 2 seats that will be coming up on the 31st, so make sure that you get your applications in if you'd like to continue. And we will, I guess, be attempting to increase the commission by 2. Zach, what exactly do you need from us? Do you need something in writing?
Take time to review a statute and see what we need from the city council in respect to adding additional members. As of right now, I think I have sufficient direction to go to them and find out for you.
Okay. Perfect.
Well, not due until next year, right? March 31st.
Yeah, yes.
So it's not now. Okay. No, you're new. It's 4 years.
It's a 4-year term, so right now it is
Yeah.
Marty and Tom.
What about the budget here? There's a page with monies, with,
Well, let's see, the financial report.
oh, is it there? Oh, yeah.
So the financial report is attached. Those are all the public art projects that are currently funded, and you asked for the unallocated amount, so I added that to the bottom of the report. So there's currently approximately $180,000 in that account ready to be allocated to other projects. I just put a note there that it is a projected amount. Basically, the public art funds come from development impact fees. So when a developer comes into the city and builds, these housing developments, condos, whatever, for every unit, they pay a certain amount of developer fee, and a portion of that developer fee goes into the public art fund. So I just wanted you to know that's where those monies come from. So it does fluctuate. This is the projected amount, but we're pretty confident that will be available this year. So this money here could be used, will be used for our mural program when it goes through. This would be where we would add another project to the list above, which would be the mural program, and then you would fund it with those monies there.
What about the Grand Avenue art project? That's 300,000. Did we vote on that? Allocated that money?
The Grand Avenue Art Project is slated for some type of public art. The corner of Grand and Broadway was going to be like a roundabout at one point,
Right.
and there was going to be a piece of public art in the middle of that roundabout.
Right.
I believe that engineering recently received a grant to do improvements to Grand Avenue, so I wouldn't want to do anything with that money at this point, because there could be some really good opportunity downtown for some public art on Grand Avenue. So I would recommend that money stay there. Anytime you move money around also, that would have to go to council and be approved through a budget adjustment.
Okay, so my understanding, Grand Avenue Art Project, since it showed up on here now, because that roundabout issue was not approved.
No, we didn't.
Some
It was
time
not
ago.
approved, no, but they recently received another grant.
And, okay, that's,
Yeah, so there's no art slated, but what I'm saying is you want to keep, I would recommend keeping the money here because
does this have anything to do with the condominium project and the?
No, and that Aspire project got voted down by council, so that is not happening.
Okay.
So I'm a little bit confused here. So things pop up in the budget from nowhere. It doesn't have to go through the commission. We don't have to vote on it.
No.
That's what, right?
We are an advisory
So
commission to art projects. When these other projects occur that are outside our concern, we always try, it appears that we try to include an art element to it, just to be on the safe side. Because that's really the whole focus. And when they were talking about the roundabout, how cool that would be with the water element or whatever. So if we get far enough along here that it appears on our project list here, then we need to go with the flow and see how it plays out on what we can contribute in the public art field.
So that full amount would go to an art piece, right? That's what he's saying. It wouldn't go to the roundabout. It would be just for art, right?
Yes. The public art funds have to be used for art.
Right. So
Yeah, they cannot be used for
This is a
anything.
major piece. If we're gonna-
It will be the determination, too, on if that is one piece, several pieces for an entire project.
Okay.
So it's not like we're just going to build another big Monument E or something, and the whole amount will go to one thing. So that's a good thing. If we can get on there and stay on there, it provides a future. And my personal input there. I did have a question about the administration fee. This, the very first one, public art administration, funding for administrative costs associated with public art. What is that referring to, Jenny?
Is that are you referring to the 136,000?
No, I think she's.
No,
The next page.
project descriptions?
But we haven't allocated any money to that, right? It's not.
Well, yeah, I don't see anything on the, because this is the capital project balance. I just saw the line item.
You know what, I'm going to have to check on that for you, Marty. It is usually here, and it's for the administration of the program. So we use that, like we would use that, like for the sign replacement, things like that, benches, those types of things. But you know what, it didn't get, somehow
I didn't
it got,
see it on
it got
the-
taken off this list this time, but it is usually here.
Okay, that's, I was just wondering if it was supposed to be on a line item.
It is supposed to be on a line item, yes.
And the Queen Califia education, we haven't spent any money on that.
A little bit.
Actually, there's more money.
Did the book.
There's a few more dollars, $11 more. Could that be used the following way? To actually go to the schools, do like a reach out program, because there's still a large percentage of people in this city that don't know that we have that amazing piece of art in our city.
The schools, I'm sorry, but were you aware that the schools already do that?
Are they?
I take a lot of tours for schools.
Are you getting all the Escondido schools that you know?
Well, I don't have a roster of that, but I do a lot of schools. You know, they'll come from San Pasqual, and it'll be both levels. It'll be high school as well as elementary school. Of course, L.R. Green, which is right there, we do all the time, but that's not. But San Pasqual, and then I can't think.
One way to make sure they come, though, when I was teaching elementary school, third grade, I would bring my students to, because community is basically the social studies curriculum, the local community, I mean. So I brought them in here, and we came here, we visited the mayor, and then we went to the museum, and then we went to Mingue when it was here, and so on. So to make sure that we get all third graders through Queen Califia, through, unfortunately, Tuesdays or Thursday, right? Or another day. If we needed money for buses, could we take it from here?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. Because I know that some reason that some are not coming. They don't have the money. Yeah. Okay, so.
I mean, there would be other components, there's insurance requirements and things like that, but,
I believe one bus is
But we can-
$600.
You can check.
I mean, we use buses for our after-school program and our summer camp programs, so I know that we do it.
Okay.
And I would think that would actually be that would be an eligible cost
There's-
under the education program.
There was, and again, I'm not up to speed on all the latest, but at the museum, they have an art education program. And we had talked about buses about that before, bringing the kids from their location over here. They would meet at the museum and then bring them over to the Queen. So you might ask them, because they have something to do with the busing. And they provide the transportation and the insurance and all of that. It would definitely be worth a check.
So talk to Art, who?
It's the art museum over there. whoever handles the,
Art aid at the center,
no, not at the center, it's at the museum.
at the museum.
Right, and they have, it's a specific art education program for kids.
Okay, yeah, because if they're doing it, we don't need to spend money.
Yeah, and we had funded that at one time. That's why I know it, but I don't know if it still exists.
I know.
I'm involved with Compact in town, and I know they have their own artwork right down on 555, I think it is, Grant. And it's a huge building. That's where they're doing all the art. They'd be perfect to take into the Queen. Because these are the kids that are coming out of juvie for the second, for the, giving them another chance. And some of the artwork they do is really good, and they keep the kids working. But they could and should go to the
Queen Califia?
Yep.
Mm.
And they've got some, they do the whole thing.
Yeah.
I also, while we're talking about the kids and education and everything, I was very surprised. I had a teacher contact me. She brought her science class. Nothing to do with art, but they were studying minerals and rocks, and it was the funniest thing. They were middle school age, and these kids were told, I mean, most of them could have cared less that they were animals and, the art part of it, but to see that many specimens of all these rocks.
Yep, it's beautiful. Yep.
So, yeah, that surprised me very much, because the museum here on Grand Avenue, the Radin, what is it? Radin?
Right, there is gone already,
Is it
right?
gone?
Yeah,
Oh, he couldn't
He
hang
was-
in there. Well, he was even,
Rainan Museum.
yeah, he was
the
even
Roynan, yes.
Rainan.
but he was contributing through his little tours and stuff, encouraging parents to bring them over to the Queen. And it's an area that I would have never, we get engrossed in art, and they were very interested. So don't rule that out.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we do reach every single school in Escondido. Because I know, for example, the Royne Museum, most of the classes that came from outside Escondido. It was Poway and Rancho Bernardo, because each child was like $18 or $20, and our public schools were not able to do that. So I'll go through what Marty just said, art aid at the museum, and then come back to, at the next meeting, if they're not covering, then maybe we can have that as a goal, make sure that maybe every third grader, whatever we decide.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. All right.
So future agenda items, I think we've got that covered. She's going to report, and we're going to meet on the 9th.
Can we go back to item from commissioners?
Oh,
H.
you weren't done? Go ahead.
So Danielle and I talked about bringing up language to protect public art, and let me explain what I mean by that. What's the name of the piece that I told you to look on your way home? I don't remember, the one that is...
I don't know the name of it. It's over by Cocina del Charo on the corner of...
That big
Hale
metal.
and-
Yeah, it's a greeting,
Right.
it's a welcome, yeah, okay.
So, and I told Danielle, look at it, because she goes every day and she doesn't see it. She can't see it, because it's in an angle that really is very difficult to be seen. But that's not the point. The point is, anybody can come right now and put a commercial sign in front of the art piece, and there's no regulations for it. So right now, there's a box that is about 5 feet by 5 in front, leasing and renting stuff, right in front. So that's one issue and there's no language. We don't have anything saying, if we spend all this money on a piece of art, then we need so many feet or yards to be protected so that the public can see it. So that, and I don't know how we're going to address that. How do we?
Well, who owns that mall? Who owns that corner piece there?
Well, those real estate signs, it's my understanding that anyone can just go plop them wherever they want them. So if you see them around town, because I talked to the planning department about it, and it's blocking a piece of public art, you can just let me know. I'll refer them to code enforcement, and they will go check it out, because you cannot place signs within the city's right-of-way, and we believe that one is. So, so we're going to have code enforcement check that out. But regarding the language, I also did talk to planning, and they are thinking about taking their whole sign ordinance to updating it through the city council, because it will have to be a city council approval, in the near future. So they've added your concerns to their list as far as with public art, not placing things in the view that would detract from it.
Yeah, and also we have traffic signs that are covering art pieces.
Up and down Valley Parkway.
Right,
It's
and
been
that's-
it's been that way ever since.
It's ridiculous.
The artist put it there. She was really stressed about that. I remember when it happened and everything, and nobody would move it. And so it just sits.
So it's any kind of sign, it doesn't have to be commercial.
But I totally agree to that system-wide, where our pieces are and things change. The last thing I want to see is somebody, putting up something right across the street here where the big bronzes are by the Shaky Pizza, across the street from the ticket booth there. And, if that's the way it goes, they could really ruin that venue as well. So, excellent. I had no idea nothing was in writing,
No, there's
that it was just handled on a situation if it came up.
One of the docents, Queen Califia docent,
Natalie, yes.
she also was very upset about that big tower of commercial advertisings on that corner of Center City and
Belicita.
Belicita.
Cedar.
It
I'm telling you,
parallels the E, and it's the ugliest thing. Have they covered it yet? Last time I saw it, it was still wood. So it really,
yeah. So it needs to be regulated, right? Right. Because that piece was so expensive. Give me a break. Everybody looking at that E, whether they like it or not, it was too expensive, Yeah. Okay, so that's good. So it's going to be looked into it. Okay. Future agenda.
so, are we good on the future items? And it is
There was something that,
overtime?
I think there was something that we were supposed to bring from last time, and it didn't get into this agenda. I just saw it. It was language for, and I think you said there's nothing.
If you want to
The process of bringing public art to the city? Is that what you're referring to?
Right.
Yeah, there's no written policy on how that should go. So an artist could come through you, they could come through me, you could recruit artists, we could do a call for artists. There's no policy in place. There's no procedure in place, I should
So
say.
they can come straight here if they want to.
What is the question?
The procedure for new art to come to the city. So if someone wanted to propose a piece of art or something like that, what is that procedure? What is that process? And there is nothing in writing stating, first you do this, first you go to the commission, then you go to this.
And there's no form. There's nothing to fill. Let me give you a concrete example. The art studio that opened here, Stone and Fire.
Yeah.
He was really excited when he located to Escondido. He relocated after the fire. And the previous the previous mayor had said that they were really excited to have him basically move to Escondido. And then he said, and after that, I was left like, what do? I have ideas, and I would love to see maybe a piece in that triangle. And so I went to her and I said, okay, do we have a form that we can bring to an artist and say, you want to propose something? Do this, and then bring it to the commission. There's nothing. So that's what I'm going to tell them. There's nothing, so just come with a proposal, right? Oh, okay. No procedures, nothing.
Because most of them were recruited or controlled through the Ms. Pollock's
Susan
previous-
Pollock?
Yeah, her previous position. Okay. The art consultant, I think, was her title.
Yes, she was the city's
So
art consultant.
as the city had the art consultant, everything went through her. So I don't know how that was generated, but everyone would filter everything through her. If something would come up, it would, from community services or whomever, it would always go to her, and that went on for several years. So if there was any kind of documentation, application, proposal, whatever, how you want to call it, it must have gone away at that time with the position.
One of those files you said. There's
All
cabinets and
those boxes, are they under your desk now?
Some of them are, yes.
Okay.
So a lot of these things that you guys, I just want to put this out there because we were talking about ad hoc committees, but a lot of these things that you guys are discussing, like forming a 501c3 and forming a formal policy or procedure for these things, those are things that you guys could form your ad hoc committee and start working on.
And we can have 2 members. And can we include other people from outside the commission? Like Escondido citizens that would be interested, or no?
Zach, can you address
Yeah.
that?
You'd have to have set parameters as it relates to which groups you're wanting to bring in. For example, the city council right now has an ad hoc committee relative to conducting a community survey, and the only other members who are part of that ad hoc committee are the consulting group that's going to be drafting that survey. So if you were to form an ad hoc committee, you could conceivably bring in additional people, but you might want to set those parameters out of the gate, if that makes sense. You know, it would just, you wouldn't want them dictating policy, because ultimately the 2 commissioners are going to be the ones who are really driving that, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe getting more people will be interested, getting a larger group up here, right? So we can, we need more people, for sure. Okay.
Yeah, one time it was huge. Very inefficient, but huge.
So maybe a happy medium might be nice, like a 7. We were 7.
Yeah, for a long, and that was pretty workable, because that way, if you did have somebody that was on vacation or ill or whatnot, we could still get business done. Right now, it's just 2 skeleton a crew, I think.
What's the maximum? What would you suggest as the number of people, just roughly?
7 is nice. I think 7 is a good number.
I think 7 is a good number too. If we get too high in the numbers, my concern is filling those spaces.
Yeah.
When it's time for re-elections or appointments, rather.
Yeah.
So I think 7 would be a workable number. If it was working in the past for you guys, then that's probably where we should start. at
Well,
least.
one of the goals that I've always had about the commission is there was a time to where it was, if you could believe this, it was a status symbol to be on the Public Art Commission. And that's why I said there were scads of people. If you were in the know, you were on the commission. But very inefficient. Nobody did anything. Okay? I've always wanted to create a commission that every person here brings something to the commission and participates in whatever their expertise is. And for the first time in a very long time, I see the possibility of this happening. And yet everyone has their expertise with your backgrounds, whether it's kids or handling big projects with other nonprofits, local connection with everyone. All of that fits in very well. So when we do take application for filling and making a 5-piece commission, I would like in the interview process for that to be just that someone is bringing something, to contribute and why they're interested in it, not just because they're bored and they wanted something to do, because they're recently retired and they have no art background or design background or community service background. It's just, I would like to see that in the process.
Like fundraiser.
Oh, that would be awesome.
A grant writer.
A fundraiser person.
Okay, it is 4:27, and we're 27 minutes over our allotted hour. So do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Anybody?
I
We
move.
good?
Yeah.
Second? We vote? Vote. Everybody
Yes.
agrees we're going to go home?
Yes.
All right, thank you very much, my friends. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you, Danielle. Which one is the button the yellow one here? We push it.
How long